If you are essentially living your life or following a career path where you are sharing your light with other people, you're a light worker. If you're the kind of person who people say the room lights up when you walk in, you are a light worker. If you have something that you're passionate about and people have told you when you start talking about that thing, they see you light up, you're a light worker. If you just know that you're here with some sort of a bigger mission, you're a light worker. Now I sound like I'm telling you might be a redneck jokes. But I'm being totally serious in this, that if this, then that. If these things happen, then you are a light worker. If you suspect you're a light worker, you're a light worker. Welcome to the Energy Within podcast, helping you to embrace your weird, beat imposter syndrome, and take action on your soul's purpose. My name is Carrie Jokala. I am your host. I am a Reiki master teacher, a fitness instructor, a wife, a mom to 2 little boys, and this is episode 198. And I guess that means I better get planning on what I'm going to do for episode 200, because that should be a big deal. 200 episodes. Holy crap. All right. So these last few weeks, despite having been consistent, releasing on Wednesdays without fail for the last couple of years, these last couple of weeks, everything's shifted. Things have just gotten off. So we've been either late on Wednesdays or Thursdays. So I appreciate your patience. And that's also, just add that to the list of reasons why I can only do 1 episode a week. And I don't know if that'll ever change, but 1 episode a week for sure. So today I wanted to look in a different direction for some of the topics that we've been covering for a while, and specifically talk about being a light worker and how to know if you are in fact a light worker. So let's just get the obvious out of the way here. If you clicked on this title, if you're wondering if you're a light worker, if you're here, you're a light worker. And if you were just here because you were drawn to it, because you were curious, you're probably a light worker. I'm definitely biased, of course, because I believe everything happens for a reason, but still take what resonates, leave what doesn't. It's okay. But I wanted to do this episode to help you take a moment to acknowledge who you really are and give yourself some recognition for that. I have learned over and over again, and even fairly recently, that I personally don't give myself enough credit for who I am, what I've been able to do, not just for myself, but also in terms of helping other people, especially if you know you're here with a bigger purpose. We can get so focused on what we have yet to do, how big this mission seems, how hard it can be, where we're still struggling, that we really don't give ourselves enough credit for the things that we have been able to do, for the people that we have been able to help or positively affect. And I've learned too that what helps in making you acknowledge it is either writing it down, like having to answer the question, what have you accomplished? Or better yet, say it out loud. When I had a one-on-one session, the one that I won, probably, was it a couple months ago? It doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but I guess it was. I think it was in May. Sheesh. And it feels like it was just a couple weeks ago. But in talking to Casey Ballard, this coach that I won this session with, I kind of had to acknowledge what I had already done. I had to own what I had accomplished. And in having to say it out loud, I realized how much I actually had done. And though it's still not as much as I want to have done. I'm not as far as I would like to be. I've done a lot. So I don't say this list here and look at me and look what I've done. I'm saying this to prompt you to think of examples in your own life of what you have done. Like for me, how many people who are not celebrities, who are not famous, have started a podcast and made it to 200 episodes. Granted, I'm 2 episodes away from that, but still, we're going to get there. I'm not going anywhere. I've come this far, and I know it's become a cliche a little bit, but I like this phrase. I didn't come this far to just come this far. So I know I'm going to get to 200. I'm not going to suddenly stop next week. Lots of people start a podcast. Plenty of people have started podcasts. And I've heard statistics that say it's a major accomplishment to make it to 10 episodes. And I've seen that play out with people who I know who have started podcasts. And I enjoyed what they started, and I wish they would continue or at least be more consistent with it because I really enjoyed their content. But for whatever reason, and it's okay, it doesn't mean there's something wrong because they stopped. Maybe it just wasn't aligned, it wasn't something they enjoyed as much, it took up too much of their time, that's fine. But the fact remains, it's quite the accomplishment just to make it to 10 episodes. And here we are at almost 200. Am I at 1 million downloads? No, but I still should give myself credit for how far I've come, for the fact that I do have listeners. I have people like you who download these episodes and actually listen to them. I've run Reiki courses. I have taught other people Reiki starting in the last year. I put together my own original program. I've had a lot of just personal life accomplishments, growth that has happened personally, spiritually, emotionally, all of that. So go through your own life and give yourself credit first for what you have done. You have had accomplishments, and they don't have to be something that someone else would look at and think was a big accomplishment. It can be something that maybe other people would think was really small, but to you it's a really big accomplishment. It's a huge deal. And maybe you're in the same boat I was ages ago now. I can't remember the coach's name. So I don't even know if this person is still around, but I just remember being at work at the car dealership. We all go through Facebook when we're at work, so let's not lie about that. I was going through Facebook. And this wasn't someone that I remember following, so I don't think I found this in an email. I'm pretty sure I found this scrolling Facebook. It probably popped up in an ad. And I think it was something about how to become a light worker. And I didn't really know exactly what a light worker was, but it sounded awesome. Like, not just something cool, but like something that I thought might be aligned with me. I was trying to figure out what my purpose was. I was trying to figure out what this bigger thing is that I'm here in this life on earth to do. And even though I didn't fully know what it was, it struck a chord with me. So it was supposed to be this webinar, and I hate webinars that are set up like this. I don't mind them being pre-recorded. But just little side note, I do not like when it's pre-recorded, but you have to still watch it at a specific time. But it's based around like what time you sign up. So I could sign up, say now it's 1:08 p.m. as I'm recording this, and the next one starts at 1:30. So I can pick today at 1:30, or I could pick tonight at 5:30, or tomorrow at whatever time. But let's say none of those times work for me, and there's no recording to go back to. You have to be there and watch it at that specific time. I don't understand that. But then I could go back to this later tonight, let's say at 6 o'clock, and it'll give me a completely different list of times. That's so weird to me. I don't get that. But the reason I say all that is because that's what this webinar was. It was something where you had to be there to watch this pre-recorded thing at a specific time. And it was never a time that I could make it. I signed up for it a couple different times, and I never made it. And there was never a recording to go back and watch that you could have after the fact, even for like a limited time, 24-hour replay. Fine, great. As long as I can watch it on my own time. It never happened. I never got around to it. So I put it aside. It was probably around the same time that I was first finding out that Reiki, that energy healing, aura healing was a thing, and not finding the teacher and putting that all off to the side. But I know looking back that just stumbling on that and somehow having a resonance with it, even not fully knowing what it was, not understanding what a light worker even meant, thinking that it was something you had to be trained how to do. Because I remember thinking, coming across people on Facebook or whatever who were psychics and that was what they did as their job, and thinking, how cool would that be to just have a talent like that where all you really had to do was show up. Like, you didn't have to go get certified necessarily in anything. You didn't have to do any prep. Like, you could just show up, be yourself, do what you are awesome at, and get paid for it. That's freaking awesome. And of course thinking, well, I don't have any of those intuitive abilities, so I could never do that. But this light worker thing sounds kind of cool. And really, it's all kind of tied together. And I'm not going to go into the whole explanation, but you already know if you've been here. We all have intuitive abilities. It's just how much we may or may not have blocked them or turned them off, either intentionally or unintentionally. But regardless, they can all be awakened in us again. And even people who do say that they are psychic in the way that we think of a psychic, where it's really clairvoyance, even advice for them if they want to make that into a career is to practice. You still can get better at something even if you are already tuned in to that natural talent. So you can awaken that kind of stuff in yourself. But nonetheless, you're here to find out how to know if you're a light worker. So we already established that if you're here, you are a light worker. But what is a light worker? I'm sure you're going to find a bunch of different definitions online. I didn't really look it up. I kind of did. I have one article here that I'm going to reference a couple things for you to help you out. But the way I see a light worker isn't necessarily just someone who's tuned into their intuitive gifts and helping people in that sense, or being an energy worker or a healer or anything like that. If you are essentially living your life or following a career path where you are sharing your light with other people, you're a light worker. If you're the kind of person who people say the room lights up when you walk in, you are a light worker. If you have something that you're passionate about and people have told you when you start talking about that thing, they see you light up, you're a light worker. If you just know that you're here with some sort of a bigger mission, you're a light worker. Now I sound like I'm telling you might be a redneck jokes. But I'm being totally serious in this, that if this, then that. If these things happen, then you are a light worker. If you suspect you're a light worker, you're a light worker. Just like if you're wondering if you're a good parent, that's a sign that you're a good parent. You're probably a good parent because you care enough to try to make sure that you're being a good parent. But in this article that I found, I've never really looked at this website before. I just typed in how to know if you're a light worker, and this thoughtcatalog.com came up. And this is 20 signs you're what's known as a light worker. So this definition says, a light worker is a special person with almost psychic ability to intuit what other people are thinking, feeling, or need in order to heal. I believe that's true, but I also believe that just working to be your best self, working to spread light and love and all of that through the collective, feeling like you're here with some sort of a bigger mission that doesn't necessarily have to do with energy work or being psychic or anything like that. That means you're a light worker. So, and that's the first thing here. It says you intuitively know that you are alive for a higher purpose, one that is directly related to awakening and transforming your own life and the lives of others by helping to raise the collective consciousness of human beings. I think that's a better definition. That's one of the signs, but I think that's actually a better definition of what a light worker is. All right. Incoming edit. My worst nightmare has come true. I've been recording for at least a good few minutes now, maybe almost 10, I would imagine, and I wasn't recording. So right where I've done this edit, fortunately somehow I completed my last thought, and then I went through everything else in this article and went back to where I'm recording here on my phone in my voice notes app, only to find that I wasn't recording any of it. You don't need to know that. I just thought it was funny. So, all right, moving right along. Some other signs coming from this article to help you know if you are in fact a light worker. You could already be naturally in tune with your intuition. It also says you could connect with people easily, yet at the same time feel kind of alone, feel kind of like you are a loner. I definitely had some long loner periods growing up. A lot of that contributed to my lack of self-confidence and set me on this journey that I've been on and helped me start really figuring out what my mission is here on earth. Leaning into that, it also says your young life set you up for a series of traumas, challenges, and other difficulties. You understand that these were not intended to hurt you, rather to awaken you to the healer you are now. So going back to the cliche that many people don't agree with, I know, but I really do believe it, that everything happens for a reason. And whatever we've gone through, whether or not you believe that we agreed to go through these things prior to incarnating here on earth or not, it doesn't matter. You probably do agree, if you're a light worker, that we went through certain things to help us step into who we are meant to be. The things that we've gone through have helped to awaken certain things in us, to put us on the path that we're on now, so that we can step into the mission that we've come here to fulfill. You are constantly on a mission to improve your own life and the lives of those around you. Your core drive in life is to identify what needs to be fixed and how you can possibly make it better. If you're like me, you actually enjoy doing all of the inner work, even though it can bring up a lot. It can bring up a lot of emotions. It can be tough to go through. You actually maybe enjoy the process. You enjoy the results. You know that it's making you better. You like looking back and seeing how far you've come and knowing that you're making progress and that you're helping other people. This one says you are spiritual but err away from religion. I don't know that I entirely agree with that. I think you can be religious and still be a light worker, because I believe we're all on our own paths. We don't bash other beliefs. We don't bash other religions here. I still am Christian. Nothing about that has changed about me whatsoever. You don't have to agree with me at all. I fully believe, and I say this over and over again, and I will say it all the time, I believe it's possible. I know it's not an easy thing to get to based on how divided the world is these days, but I do believe it's possible for us to all exist and still have different beliefs and still get along with each other, to exist with each other, to be peaceful, harmonious, to love each other, to get along without getting upset for other people holding different beliefs, to be conscious of how what we say and do affects other people, to be respectful of each other. I believe it's possible. So I don't know that I entirely agree that you can't be religious and be a light worker. I think God works through us in the ways that He's meant to work through us. I believe we're each here with our own beliefs, with our own path, our own mission, for our own reasons, and it's all meant to work out in the end. So, but it does go on here to also say, in this same sign, your life work is to help people re-internalize their power. I do agree with that. But I believe that looks different for each of us. There's no right or wrong way to be a light worker. You could identify as or be described as an old soul. You might feel naturally creative. You maybe feel different, like distinctly different from perhaps your family, from just people in general. You feel like a bit of an outsider. Did I mention empathic? If I didn't, let's cover empathic. If you are very empathic, you're probably a light worker. If you are conscious of the fact that you are here to break ancestral or karmic patterns, you're the one here to break the generational curses. You feel a strong connection to nature, most likely. Maybe you have specifically already gone through a spiritual awakening. And I do believe I did an episode on spiritual awakening, but I couldn't tell you what number it is. But I'm sure if you search Spiritual Awakening and my podcast, you'll find it. And going back to, you just know that you're here with a bigger purpose. I also did decide to pull a couple of cards to help solidify the message for you. So, again, a little biased. I went with my Work Your Light deck. But like I said, I'm already biased anyway because I do believe everything happens for a reason. If you're here listening to this episode, you are a light worker. Period. End of story. The way you show up in this world as a light worker could look completely different than everything I've described. It could look completely different from other people that you might look at and say that person's definitely a light worker. Doesn't mean you're not still a light worker. But so I pulled 2 cards. The first one that came out is Inner Temple, Devotion, Tune into the Portal of Your Heart. So I'm going to read you the whole book description, and then I'm going to share with you the second card that made me laugh out loud. So Inner Temple says, you are being called to be a devoted student and tune into your heart, to incorporate true devotion into your life. You could be being called to develop a regular meditation, journaling, or chanting practice, or to show up to your soul with rhythm, to develop a daily practice where you fill up your well and spend time with your soul. All of the answers to all of the questions that you seek are waiting for you in the portal of your heart. But you cannot hear them unless you carve out time each day to listen. Your soul is yearning for a deeper relationship with you. And so the more time you spend with it and show up to it, the more clearly it will guide you. We are here to grow as souls. Earth is one big playground for the soul to learn. And you are being called to go deeper in your soul growth or to increase your devotion by being a student of a lineage or a spiritual teacher. If you have already been a committed student, then you are being commended for your devotion. Your guides want you to know how proud of you they are and that the time you spend in devotion is priceless. If you are questioning your career or life path, your guides want you to turn your focus toward devotion and this prayer. Please use me in a way that delights my mind, body, and soul. May my life be one big moving prayer. Essentially, let me shine my light. Help me to shine my light. So that little nudge in there, if you feel nudged to go deeper into your soul growth, I invite you to come do a Reiki session with me. We can dig in there. We can go into your Akashic Records, the library of your soul, and get some answers there from your Akashic guides. And a little sort of side note here that I actually just meant to use in the intro and just forgot what I wanted to talk about. So I'll say it here because it makes sense. If being called to meditation is for you, first of all, I do have some meditations here on the podcast. I have a lot of them available just as free downloads as just the meditation. So you don't have to listen to my intro and outro. You can have just the meditation. If you just go to the website, there is always in the show notes links to all of those things down there. And there's one that's a paid collection. It's only $17. It's set up as the confidence boosting collection. And then there are plenty of others that are free. And also, one of those that is free on my website, I actually decided to use as my first upload to Insight Timer. So if you like the Insight Timer app, you can now search for me on there, and I'll be adding some more as I have time to create some more meditations for that. So it's kind of cool. I've only been up for a couple days. I've got 3 followers, and I've had, I think, 7 listens since I uploaded and got approved on there. So go check me out on there. It's the confidence meditation. It's the same one you can find here on the podcast and on my website as a download, but I thought it was a nice one to start with over there for people who may not know me. And if you just enjoy that app and that's an easy way for you to do your meditations, you can find me on there now. And quick little nudge before I tell you what your second card is. The first group Reiki session for the Glow Confidence Club membership is up and available. So even if you start joining now into the membership, you can always go back and have access to all of the recordings. So that one is up. That one was lots of fun. And I believe sometime next week, I got to look at my calendar and double check because I had to move the original day I was planning for. But sometime next week, we'll be doing the live meditation. So there's always a monthly meditation included with this new membership, here to support you on your journey to growing your confidence, to feeling more confident in stepping into your soul's path, having that energetic support on a regular basis. Because going back to that loner comment, this journey can feel very lonesome, and it can... Thunder, it's gonna rain. I don't know if you could hear that. I'm excited about that. Oh, it is raining. I didn't realize it was already raining. Sweet. Sorry, squirrel. Okay. But I would love to have you inside the membership. So I'm keeping founders pricing open for a little bit yet, probably through the end of August. So you do have some time. I know I'm not really doing the right business thing there. I'm not creating a big sense of urgency, but at the end of August, it will for sure be going up. So if you get in now at founders pricing, it's only $33 a month, and you get a group Reiki session, a live meditation that I'm going to also make available as an MP3 for download that you can just have. And I'm going to be adding more things as we go along. So there will likely be some group fitness. That's going to be a little bit scattered. It's not going to be a regular thing like every Thursday we're going to do this. It's not going to be that structured because I just can't commit to that. But I'll be adding to that, so there will be a growing library of different types of workouts that you can access, anything that you feel drawn to. I also signed up to become certified in yoga, so eventually there will be some yoga for me in there as well. And sound healing meditations is going to be something that I'm going to add inside the membership as well. So there is a VIP option, and that adds a monthly private one-on-one Reiki session with me. So if that's something you know you want on a regular basis, I encourage you to get in on that at founders pricing, because right now the membership plus that VIP add-on is less than the cost of just a one-on-one session with me. So if that's something that you want, get in on founders pricing because it just makes sense right now. Okay, I've gone on long enough holding you back from your second card. So while I like the Inner Temple card and I like what it has to say, and I think it's very relevant, it's telling you that if you're questioning whether or not you're a light worker, just get quiet, tune in, listen for the answers that you're trying to get, because your soul knows, your soul wants to tell you. All you have to do is ask and learn how to listen. And that can come with practice. You might not get the answers right away. So maybe you'll get frustrated in the beginning. That's okay. Come do a session with me, come do a card pull with me, and let that give you some confirmation on what you already know. But I still shuffled again. I'm like, I want one more card. And I sort of felt drawn to one, but it just didn't feel right. I shuffled again and I said out loud, I want a card that is for my podcast listeners to tell them what they need to know about whether or not they are a light worker. And I kid you not, the card that came out is the yes card. It literally just says yes, and underneath, just say yes. And the book explanation for the yes card is 2 pages of just the word yes over and over and over and over again. There's no other explanation to that card other than just yes, 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 yes. So if you're questioning if you're a light worker still, hopefully you're not by this point in this episode, but if you still are, I challenge you on that, because the answer is yes. There's no denying it anymore, because for that card to come out, this is how many cards are in this deck? This is a 44 card oracle deck. There are 44 options that could come out of this deck, and we got the yes card. You're a friggin' light worker. Own it. Acknowledge who you really are. Acknowledge the work that you've done on this journey. Acknowledge and own the fact that you are a light worker. I think that's all we need to say. I hope you found this helpful. If it was, I encourage you to share it, tag me on Instagram. I am Carrie Jokala is my full handle, so literally the words, I am Carrie Jokala. And to help this podcast reach more people, it's extremely helpful if you leave a 5-star rating and a positive review. That's what helps boost it so that more people can see it, that it might come up in suggestions for what people might like to listen to when they're listening to similar podcasts or similar topics. And consider the membership. You'll find the link in the show notes. And go find me on Insight Timer. You don't have to do all three of those, but you could. Choose one and start there. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time.